So the Mavic 3E is a drone made by DJI, and it's very useful. It's an enterprise model, so it has a very high quality, high zoom camera that it makes mapping routes a lot easier and seeing stuff from very far away, such as even larvae in the swamp. If we get close enough, we can see them swimming. Also, its stability is great. It's very stable when it's in the air, doesn't move around too much, which makes for more improved imaging. And its ease of use with the remote control that comes with it and the drone itself, everything is seamless and makes it very easy to do work with the data that you collect. On the remote, in the DJI Pilot app, there's something called flight routes, and you click on that and then you can do a multitude of different types of routes, such as an area route, which is for mapping a two-dimensional area. Then you also have a waypoint route, which you could use for selecting specific areas and then telling the drone what you want it to do, like take a photo, for example. So yeah, the automated mapping system on DJI's remote controller is called, you go into the flight app and then you will open up the flight route planner, and you can choose a multitude of different routes. One of the ones we use the most is an area route, and what that does is create a 2D map of any specific area you choose to map, and it does kind of like a grid pattern over it. So after the drone will go out and do a mapping session, it'll take a bunch of images from directly over top if you're doing 2D, and then from 3 different angles if you're doing a 3D image collection. And what we'll do is we'll take those images back to the lab, upload them to a computer, and then turn them into a usable two-dimensional map using a software such as Pix4D Fields, which is the one we're currently using to make our maps. Okay, so this is the home screen you'll get when you open up your DJI controller. And basically, if you want to set a flight route for mapping, we would go into the flight route section here. And as you can see, these are our library of some previously executed mapping runs. And these are some of our previously created routes. So here's one, for instance, that we did at the tire pile to create a map of it. And then if you want to make a new one, you go create a route, and these are the different options. So you got your waypoint, your area, linear, slope, and geometric route. And then if you wanted to create a new one, you click the little plus sign, create a route, and these are the different options it has. So like waypoint is be something if you were using a treatment drone, areas for if you're creating a 2D map. For making 2D maps, the area route is what we most commonly use. And you have options for waypoint routes, area routes, linear routes, slope, and geometric. For mapping, we would want an area route. And then it's just a matter of dropping pins on a location. So you've got a little box there, and you would select it, and then you can start inputting like what drone you're using, etc. So traditional mapping, as far as I'm aware, took a lot longer, and it was or if you were using, say, satellite images from Google Maps, it's very low resolution compared to what we would get from the drone. So to put it in perspective, you can do over almost 100 acres if you're flying at 400 feet in 10 minutes with this drone, which is obscene. Normally to do that, you would need a survey crew or a camera mounted on an actual airplane, which takes more time, more people, you have to get airway space, all that type of thing. And with the drone, you can just go up, get the map, and come back. So it's very useful for looking at, like, let's say trace maintenance, how overgrown our traces are, because you can see those from the sky with the drone. You can also use them for larval surveillance, which is a project that I'm working on currently. And you can use it to even see like vegetation indices to see like how much shrubbery or how much bush is in a certain area, and like how difficult it may be for our products to penetrate that.
So this is a typical habitat, larval habitat we have here on the island. We have several different sites all over the island. Some areas are really large. They may be hundreds of acres in size. And then some areas, as the one we're standing in now, are smaller, that may be 4 acres in size. And as the island's being developed, you know, some of these areas are chopped up, and you get to have some smaller areas, and they get to be harder to treat. We do have aerial operations here, and we do a lot of aerial application, and they're crucial to our program. But some of these areas are starting to get small enough that a drone might become more effective in being able to target some of these small areas. A lot of these swamp habitats we have are starting to get chopped up into smaller areas, which means a more precise application may be needed in some areas. Not all areas, but some areas may need some of these more precise applications. This area we're standing in now is about 4 to 5 acres, and it's hard to hit by the larger plane. So a drone may be ideal to come in times where we get large rain events or a tidal event that produces like a lot of this water you see behind us. And and those mosquitoes come off immediately. We have DPOs that come in and inspect this area weekly, and they let us know exactly what we're seeing in here, biting rates, larval stages, and then we could use that data to, then guide our control efforts, which might be by a drone. Well, you can see in behind us, some of this area would almost be impossible for us to treat by ground. So when a lot of our DPOs go out, we're doing inspections. We want to know what's out there, what larval stages, biting rates, and things like that. We have other areas that the airplane can get to, large areas, but some areas they may not be able to hit, and an area like this would be ideal to use an application drone. Drones I think will allow us to treat certain areas more precisely. Treating a small area like this with the airplane that's flying 150 miles an hour is a little bit harder than some of our bigger areas that are ideal for the airplane. We're always going to have those sites, so our airplanes are crucial to our operation. But some of these smaller areas, we're going to be using the same products that we're using currently. We're just looking at a different application method for those products. Yeah, so a DPO is a disease prevention officer, and those are our frontline colleagues that are out in the field.
So I'm here with Central UAS Technologies, training MRCU how to operate our PrecisionVision 40X aerial application unit. We're just out here doing some application training on how to actually fly the aircraft from a flight planning aspect to just general basic operation aspect. So it's a hexacopter, 6 arms, 6 motors. It's capable of carrying a 40-pound payload, maxing out at about 114 pounds in the air. It's really intended to help mosquito control units such as MRCU spread and control larvicides, adulticides, anything that kind of helps them tap down the mosquito problem that you're having out here. Drones in general have become a pivotal part of a lot of units out there in the United States, around the world, internationally. It's a perfect piece that mixes right into a truck and aerial operation where trucks can't exactly get to. It's not really worth the planes going to, and it's definitely not worth having a guy go out and do it by hand anymore. That's where the drone is really coming in handy and kind of being a useful tool for that category. Absolutely think the market for it is going to keep expanding. They're only going to get bigger, more efficient, batteries more efficient, able to carry more, able to do more. It's definitely going to change the way people are doing mosquito control. This is pretty safe. It has all pre-programmed emergency procedures. It does have obstacle avoidance, just to make sure that every scenario is accounted for and that every emergency is met with a proper response. At a minimum, it's going to take your Part 107, which is essentially the drone license, and then specifically to do anything involving mosquito control, you're going to have to get some sort of public health license, know what chemicals you're using, and then some sort of aerial application experience or certification to make sure you know what you're doing with the aircraft in the air.
The concept of flight has always intrigued me. And honestly, when I heard that I could fly as a drone pilot for MRCU, it was second nature. It was just an easy jump. I believe that drones are innovation in technology, and it really assists the program we have here as it relates to research and mapping and surveillance. Besides it being fun, I believe that using the drone technology, we can reach further into target areas and problem key areas. Also, drones don't tire like humans do. A lot of areas that are inaccessible to us, we can just fly directly over it, look down into the swamps, for example. When it comes down to mapping as well, instead of us using Q-Field and using the phone in person, the device does it all for us. Firstly, well, we have 2 different sets of drones. As I mentioned before, we have one specifically used for mapping. We also have a bigger drone, a PV40X, which is an application drone. This drone is also capable to fly over swamps and problem areas to drop larvicide, adulticide in the form of granule or liquid. As we all know, Cayman's weather is very temperamental. Ideally for drone operations, you don't want it to be too humid. Obviously, you don't want any rain or anything else like that. Another problem we do encounter, especially here again in the swamps, is a lot of the vegetation hinders where the drone can and cannot go, so it can sap our operational efficacy if we're not able to get into that area. if we're not able to get into specific areas. Skills. I would say patience is a big one. You also want to be clear-headed and just ensure that you have a good team. If I don't know if that counts as a skill, but having a good team with you also helps the operations run more smoothly.
I've heard a lot of stuff about other mosquito control areas doing things with drones that we haven't been able to do here because we didn't have a drone. And once we looked at all the different things that other people are doing, like larval treatments, larval surveillance, mapping, stuff like that, it seemed like a really great idea to get a drone program started here, and I was lucky enough to be a part of it. I've had a great time ever since. Just the ability to streamline some of the stuff we do, such as larval surveillance or figuring out like getting a fresh map of a swamp, that stuff will become so much more streamlined and efficient to do. And then especially once we get our larval treatment drone up and running, we can do a whole lot of stuff, especially in like those smaller swamps that are a little too small for the plane, too big for the truck. They work perfect for that. All right, so the drone is a lot more targeted. So inherently it'll be a lot more efficient than say our big plane. We're able to target specific areas within the swamp, not just the whole general swamp. And also it'll allow us to focus in on certain areas we might not be able to get to on foot. With our surveillance drone, we can look at those areas much easier than having to cut a path through the bush or something like that. We can take it over with the drone, see if there's water there, maybe even see if there's larvae there. Obviously, it's a very small island, and the airport has a very wide area around it, which is a no-fly zone for drones. We do have permissions to go in there, but that might just be one little extra step that we have to do, but all in all, it's not too impactful. And then also just having maybe public education so that if people see a drone above their house, they're not getting freaked out. We're not taking videos of you or anything. We're looking for mosquitoes and we're treating mosquitoes, and maybe getting a public education program out there going over stuff like that. Obviously, the ability to manipulate the drone, properly control it, knowing like when it's safe, what conditions you should be flying in, what to look for, what to watch out for, and just making sure that you're safe in every step of the way. I think that's probably the most important thing. I just love flying the drone. It was new to me when I started, but it's actually very similar in a way to fly like a video game. So it's a fun thing to do with work, but it's also very practical and it's exciting. You know, it's a new frontier for mosquito control.